Hi again. This is the third video for April 27th. I just realized I forgot to change the sheet for the second video. Okay, so the second video is said part one, but it should have been part two. So I'm sorry about that mistake. Anyway, this is part three of the three videos that I am working on for April 27th. Just one reminder. Every time you watch the video, when you finish, please text the office back saying that you watched the video, because I know that's not important to you, but it's very important to the office and to us at CPACs, okay? Because we need to document the fact that the students are engaged and watching the videos and learning English, okay? All right, I would appreciate that when you text back on your cell phones, okay? All right. So we're gonna go to page 29, okay? Page 29. Page 29, and we're gonna continue to talk about, as I promised, present perfect tense, and we want to talk about the present perfect tense in relation to the simple past tense, okay? So simple past and present perfect, okay? So let's talk about these two, all right? So if I say I work, okay? I'm sorry. I worked, okay? I worked. That's simple past, right? What is the present perfect form for this sentence? Present perfect. I worked is simple past. So what is the present perfect? Present perfect would be, remember, is have, has plus past participle, right? So present perfect form would be I have worked. Okay? I have worked. Okay? Remember, work is what? Work is worked, right? Worked, right? Remember, that's the base form or the present form. That's the past form, and that's the past participle, right? Remember the sheet that I showed you in one of the first videos, and I think one of the students asked for it, and I emailed it to her. But base, past, and PP, right? So I have worked. Okay, I worked, I have worked. You have two work. Same spelling, same pronunciation. Are they the same or different? They're different, right? Because in the regular verb, remember, past tense and past participle, they're exactly the same form. So it's easy, as I mentioned, but it's also confusing. So that work is this one, and this work is this one. Does that make sense? Okay, this is the base, right? This is the base, or the present, and this is the past, and this is the past participle, right? Past participle, okay? So this work is this one, and this work is that work, okay? Anyway, I want to ask you another question about these two, okay? Remember, I worked is obviously in the past. Well, remember in the last video or the first video today, I talked about I have worked as what? Even though it's called present perfect, it's really past idea. Okay? So they're both in the past. They're both in the past. I worked and I have worked. They're both past ideas. Something that happened in the past. Not now or not in the future, right? So why do we have both? Why do we need both? Why do we need simple past and present perfect? What do we need both for? What do we need? Why don't we just get along with just simple past, and it'd be a lot easier, right? Less to learn, right? Okay, well, so there must be some difference, okay? What is the main difference here? What is the main difference besides, the word have? What is the main difference in meaning? Okay? What do you think they are? Or it is, the main difference? What do you think the main difference is? All right. Main difference is simple past is for specific time reference. Okay, it's very specific. And present perfect is obviously non-specific time reference. Non-specific time reference. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Okay, let me give you an example. I would say I worked when? Yesterday. Okay, I worked yesterday. There are many days in the past, right? Many days, right? Millions, infinite number of days. But there's only one yesterday, right? Only one yesterday. Very specific. Yesterday is a very specific time reference. And if it's very specific, you want to use simple past. Okay? But if I don't have a specific time reference, if I say I have worked in the past, okay? I don't work anymore, but I have worked in the past, okay? I have worked in the past, or I have worked before, or I have worked in my country, okay, before coming to the United States, or I have worked a long time ago, okay? These are all very non-specific. In the past, when in the past? I don't remember. I don't know, okay? Before what? Before when? Okay? In my country, okay? When were you, what years were you in your country, okay? When was that, okay? Or a long time ago, okay? How long? I don't know. It was a long time ago, okay? So these are very non-specific. So with non-specific, you want to use present perfect. But with specific, you want to use simple past, okay? Now, when you listen to Americans speak every day, when they speak, I mean, they're going to mix it up and, they're going to, we'll be able to communicate, okay? But if you want to use it in a better way, okay, then you want to make sure when you use simple past, you want to use specific time reference. For example, if I said, let me see. If I say, I have worked, okay, I'm sorry, present perfect. I have worked yesterday. Think about that. I have worked yesterday. Does that sound right to you? I have worked yesterday. No. It's like, I worked yesterday, okay? Because I have worked yesterday, you don't want to be specific. I have worked yesterday? No. It's like saying, I ate breakfast this morning, right? That's good. I ate breakfast at 7 a.m. Perfect, right? I ate breakfast, that's very specific. 7 o'clock is very specific, exact time, right? I ate breakfast at 7 a.m. But if I say, I have eaten breakfast at 7 a.m., I have eaten breakfast at 7 a.m., no, that doesn't sound right, right? You could say, I have eaten breakfast before, okay? That's okay, but, so, that's the main difference. Simple past, specific time reference. Present perfect, non-specific time reference, okay? So, having said all that, okay? having said all that, okay? Some of you said, teacher, but what about the first video? Yes, you're right. You are very, very right, okay? Having said that present perfect is non-specific, you can use it in a specific way by using for and since, okay? So, you can say what? You can say, I have worked, okay, for, okay, 10 years, okay? So, Even though present perfect is usually, okay, for non-specific time reference, you can make it specific by using for or since. Okay, so the language is language. Okay, all right. So you can also say what? I have worked since what? 2010. Okay, so with the for and since, you can make it specific. Okay, that's pretty specific. There are many 10-year spans or 10-year periods in the past, right? But there's only one 10 years, okay, from this moment and to 2010. Okay, so you can make it very specific by using for and since. Okay, so that's the exception. Using those words for and since to make it specific. Okay, all right, all right. Let's okay. So um let's talk about this. So if I say I have I have been to Florida last year. Okay, I have been to Florida last year. Okay, is that a good sentence? Is that a good sentence? I have been to Florida last year. I mean, you might hear that. Even Americans might talk like that. Okay, and it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal, but it doesn't really sound that good. Okay, why is it? What's wrong with this sentence? What's wrong with this sentence? I have been to Florida. That's a present perfect. I have been to Florida last year. I have been to Florida last year. Why doesn't that sound really good? Okay. Now, if it doesn't sound the same to you, that means you haven't you're not fluent yet. But if you're fluent in English, that doesn't sound really good. Okay. I have been to Florida last year. Okay. You want to say what? I went to Florida last year. Okay. Which one sounds better to you? I have been to Florida last year, or I went to Florida last year? Which sounds better? Okay, if you said this one, that means you have good, good command of the English language. Okay, that means you are either fluent or you're getting very close to it. Okay, you're on your way to being fluent. Okay, because what's last year? What's last year? It's time reference, right? It's time reference. Is it specific or non-specific? Is it specific or non-specific? This is specific, okay? There are many years, right? Many, just like many days, only one yesterday. There are many years, okay, in human history, okay, or in your life at least. Okay, there are many years, but there's only one last year, okay? There's only one 2019, okay? One 2019. So it's very specific. So with specific time reference, you want to say what? I went to Florida last year. You want to use simple present. I went to Florida last year. You say, I have been to Florida last year? No. That's too specific. You don't want to use specific with present perfect. Okay? That one's present perfect, right? This one's present perfect, right? This is present perfect. And this is what? This is regular simple past, okay? Okay, so simple past, last year, specific. So what would you put here? I have been to Florida. I have been to Florida. Yeah, you could say, I have been to Florida before. That's it. Okay, very non-specific, okay? Very non-specific. Very non-specific, okay? So, let me do one more thing, okay? What if I said, okay, you choose the tense, okay? To Florida, let's say, I'll just write the number, 5 times. Okay, which one would you use? Went to Florida 5 times last year. Okay, now this one, arguably, you can do both. Okay, you can say I went to Florida 5 times last year. Okay, because last year is very specific. Okay, but you could also say I have been to Florida. You can use present perfect as well. Why is that? Why is that? Because this is a time reference, right? Okay. Remember, last year is very specific. Then why can we use present perfect for this? Why? What do you think? Because 5 times. Okay. 5 times makes it non-specific, right? Okay. There's only one last year, but you went there 5 times. And it's not specific when those 5 times were. Was it all in January? Or was it all during the summer? Was it one time in February, 2 times in May, and then another 2 times in December? We don't know. That's very non-specific in that sense. So something like this, you can use both. You can say I went to Florida 5 times last year, perfectly fine. Or you can say I have been to Florida 5 times last year. Either one's fine, okay? Because you can argue that this is specific because it's last year, or you can say this is not specific because we don't know when those 5 times were during that year. Because that year has what? 365 days. It has 12 months, okay? 52 weeks, okay? So you can use both in something like that. All right? So, so why? So when do we use, besides being, why do we want to be non-specific? Why do we use present perfect with non-specific? When do we use these things? Okay, why do we need that? Why do we need to be non-specific? Why do we need to be non-specific? Okay, obviously, if you don't know, if you don't remember, okay, I know I went to Florida. I just don't remember when. Okay, was it year 1980? Was it 1990? So when you don't know, you use present perfect. Okay, when you don't know, you're not sure. Okay, or when it's not important. When somebody asks you a question, like ever question. Have you ever been to Florida? They don't care what year you went, obviously, because what they want to know is what? At least once, right? At least once. So, obviously the person doesn't care. Doesn't care, okay? Doesn't care when you went, okay, or how many times you went. So you just say, yeah, I've been to Florida, okay? I've been to Florida many times, okay, in the past, a long time ago. So when you don't know, you use present perfect. When it's not important, you use present perfect. And what's another reason? One more reason is this. When you know, but you don't want to say, okay? When you know, and maybe it is important, but you don't want to say. But at the same time, you don't want to lie. That's when you use present perfect, okay? So what do I mean, okay? So you know exactly, you have the information, and what? And it is important, but you don't want to tell the whole truth, okay? And at the same time, you don't want to lie. You don't want to give somebody false information, right? So, for example, let's say I'm interviewing at CPACs for a teaching job, okay? ESL teaching job, okay? But guess what? Okay, just for this scenario, let's say I have no experience teaching English. I have no experience, except I taught one class 15 years ago, one time, and that was the only time I ever taught English, okay? So I go to the interview, and they ask me a question. They say, okay, Stephen, tell me about your experience, okay? Have you taught ESL class before? Have you taught English before? Now, I can say, yes, I taught one time in 1995, or I could say, yes, I taught just one day, but Well, you don't want to say that at an interview, right? Because you want to get the job. But then you don't want to lie either. You don't want to say, "Oh yes, I taught it for 10 years. I taught 1,000 students." No, you don't want to lie either. So what do? You say, have you ever taught ESL before? Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Yes, and I loved it. I loved it. I loved every moment of it. Okay? All right, let's talk about something else. Okay? So that's another reason why we would use present perfect. All right, I hope you enjoyed the videos today, and I hope to see you in a couple of days, okay? For the April 29th video, okay? See you soon. Have a good week. Bye-bye.